And Dale not only played Colonel Sink in Band of Brothers, but he trained all of these actors for this series, as he did for Saving Private Ryan, as he did for the movie Platoon, as he did for HBO's The Pacific. And Captain, come on down and tell these good people about the process of breaking these boards. Guys are still a little intimidated when you're here that they, as it should be. Talk a little bit about the process and watching this film and taking actors and making them into soldiers in a very short amount of time and the problems and the progress that goes along with that.
Well, folks, thanks. And didn't Rick do a great job with that film? It was really something. Nice work. And it's an ongoing project, so you'll see more deeply a little bit later on. Look, ever since I retired from active duty, after 3 combat tours in Southeast Asia and 1 in the Middle East, I had a belief, come on guys, I had a belief that what's needed, especially in the popular media, movies, television, that sort of thing, is someone who can help to shine a little long overdue and very much needed light on the men and women who wear our various nations' uniforms. Because when they do that, when they volunteer to serve, regardless of when it was, they've essentially signed a blank check. And that check says, pay to the order of my country any amount up to and including my life. And that is a pretty spectacular commitment. And I've always thought that it is a commitment that people should understand, whether they've served or not. And so I embarked on a project, a process, to teach them the spirit of a warrior. The spirit of a warrior comes from your heart and from your guts, just a little bit in your brain. And so, in order to do that, especially with dumbass actors like these, who really, yeah, I can imagine, all right, who really have no concept of what that sort of service means. The business of being selfless, of thinking about a larger thing than yourself. That's antithetical to most actors who want to know, how's my hair, how many lines do I have, and when can I have lunch? So it seems to me, and it seemed to me a long time ago, that what's required is a full immersion in the life of a soldier. So that I can not only work on their minds, look, I can take them and talk to them for years. They're intelligent kids. They'll get what I'm saying mentally, but they'll never get what I mean in their heart and in their guts. In order to do that, I've got to take them way out of their comfort zone and make them live for a short period of time the selfless, tough life of a soldier. So that's the overall concept. That's what I wanted to do. I refined it for years. I got it down to where you could do it in a relatively short period of time. But when you shorten the period of time in training, you have to increase the intensity, which means that I'm a horrible, mean son of a bitch and will continue to be that way until I can teach them what I mean. The neat thing, and especially with these guys, what a marvelous cast. I mean, I wouldn't have said that 17 years ago. I would have said, what a gaggle of maggots I have been inflicted on me. But I was wrong about that, as I was wrong about most of the people I've trained. They emerge. And what happens is you see a new human being emerge. You see a new human being emerge who feels the community of a military outfit, who understands that there's something more important than himself. And that's the guy to his left, the guy to his right, and the mission ahead. That's what you have to make them understand. In order to do that, the best way to do that is simply to reduce them all to the lowest common denominator. To take their bodies and shake all of the civilian nonsense bullshit out of it, and then fill it up with the right stuff. And if they're great kids, and these all are, if they're great kids, they're like little sponges. And when that knowledge and that realization comes to them, through their hearts, and through their guts, suddenly that sponge grows and emerges into something new and something wonderful. And it makes them understand their characters. It gives them an insight into who they're trying to portray. And most importantly for an actor, what were the motivations? That's a word you hear a lot in the acting community. What were the motivations of the characters they played and all the research they did? We put that in context for them and said, here, this is who that guy was. This is why he acted the way he did. This is why he did the things he did. Now, the question then becomes, did we do it well? Yeah, I guess so. They are my children, and will always be. I've spent most of my life raising other people's children, and these are some special kids. It never ceases to amaze me and to touch me when they all come together. It's like, it might have been 17, 18 years ago, but they're talking to each other like they just left 10 minutes ago. They absolutely just pick up the conversation and everybody knows what they're talking about. That's a wonderful quality in these men. I am more proud and honored to have been part of building them than I can ever express to you. But the important thing for you to understand is not me, it's them. They took what we offered and built it into portrayals of one of World War II's most famed outfits. And they did it in a project that will outlive and outlast all of us. They did that. And I'm very, very proud of them. Thank you.
We want you to participate in this tonight, so I want you to get your questions ready. The first thing is, because I'm hosting, I can ask the first question, which is great. My first question for you guys, and you're going to pass it down, and what I'd like you to do is just say your name and who you played in the series, but what did it mean for you as far as Band of Brothers? What did it mean to portray the veteran that you portrayed and to be in this series? And Tim Matthews, who played Alex Pincala, I will start with you.
Thanks, Tim. And thanks, Rick, for the film, by the way. Amazing. Sorry, stand by. There are a lot of us to get through and a very difficult question to answer quickly. I can only really answer it retrospectively. Each year that goes by, I think I understand a bit more about perhaps what was involved in being a soldier in World War II. The young man I portrayed died at a very young age, so there's not a great deal of information about him to go on. But I think starting after 19 years to get a sense, maybe a little bit now.
Sorry. Hello, I'm Douglas Spain. I portrayed Tony Garcia. I don't think I'll ever really understand or know exactly how he felt or what he experienced. And like Tim, I think every year just I learn and grow a little more. I think even just being here and not having been in a country that was occupied, it's very difficult for me to comprehend what that means. But meeting other people here, I learned that. So meeting Tony, I definitely got to experience what he was going through in a sort of detached way and with the show as well. But to this day, I'm still growing and learning because I don't think I'll ever fully understand what these men went through. I can only imagine and wonder but I guess my goal is to just continue to not only learn more myself, but encourage others to look into it as well.
My name is Peter Youngblood Hills, and I played Shifty Powers. Yeah, it's been a remarkable journey since then. And I mean, meeting Shifty was, I suppose it's kind of one of those friends. We lived only an hour from where my mother was from, and he was in Virginia, my mother was from Tennessee. And so there was something very familiar about that relationship, about having that relationship with him. And I suppose in some ways it's an education in learning about what there's no words for. Certain things there are no words for. And he always was very humble and very, just taught me, and I think taught everybody, that sometimes you just have to give it up to everyone else. And, that's kind of what I've learned. And it's that same thing. It's like, we're just learning now. I'm just learning now. So it's been, it's a continuation of a good education.
Well, you've heard from me, so I won't take much of your time. I was privileged to play Colonel Bourbon Bob Sink, the commanding officer of the 506 Parachute Infantry Regiment. And he was right. I should have had you all shot. But that's a unique experience, to be able to bring somebody who's real to life. And I was very privileged that his family was still around and was able to send me recordings of that North Carolina drawl that he typically had. And I was able to listen to it on tape and then interpret that as an actor. So a privilege, not only to lead these men, but to portray the guy who did in 1944.
Hi, I'm Robin Lane. I played Edward B. Heffron. I think when I first got the job, what it meant was that I'd got a really good job. And I knew these were real people and they were war heroes, and I thought, this is going to be cool, this will be fun. And I didn't really realise quite how much of an impact it would have on my life, not only professionally, and it's had a really profound impact professionally, but personally, getting to know Babe was a real privilege and an honour. And I think just being around him, not particularly in any great paternal way, our relationship wasn't like that, we would hang out, but when you hang out with someone like that, you learn what real, true humility and heroism and selflessness is, really, when you spend a lot of time with someone, or spend some time with someone who's done what he's done, finished it, gone home and kind of got on with his life without any real fun for him. That teaches you a lot, I think. And like the rest of the guys, from there on it's been a real learning experience about, the impact that these men and the whole war had on the world going forward. And yeah, it was a real privilege. And I got to meet all these guys. So that's one of the best things, genuinely. That's it.
Hello, my name is Shane Taylor. I played Eugene Doc Rowe. What did it mean for me? Well, huge responsibility. I mean, that dawned on me very early on, and but I suppose the moment I tried not to think about that because it was a job to be done. But I think the moment it connected and made sense to me was in, I think, Paris, when we travelled down to Normandy on a big bus, and I managed to meet Doc Rowe's daughters, and I'm with his grandson, who's one of my closest and best friends, so that gives you an indication of how connected and how much it means this much time on. But I was on the bus and I met them, and it was a very emotional moment. It put everything in perspective, all the hard work, and that's something I'll never forget. So it's been more than a job. It was more than a job, and I'm forever grateful to do that.
Hello, I'm Nick Aaron. I played Robert Popeye Wynn. And man, it was an absolute pleasure to portray him, try and tell a tiny bit of his story, and hopefully try and do it some justice. I had some footage and some recordings of Popeye to try and help me a little bit. And yeah, I think I can speak for everyone. I think we did a pretty good job. But yeah, I don't really know what to say. It was just an absolute pleasure, and it still is to this day. And I'm honoured to have had the chance to be given the opportunity to do that and hang out with these boys for the rest of my life, I guess. So yeah, it was a pleasure. It was a pleasure.
My name is Rene Moreno, and I play Joseph Ramirez, and it was amazing. It was amazing. My character was a quiet man, as told by a lot of the veterans who we met. Didn't like what he was doing, but he had to do it, and he did it well. So the job of portraying somebody who kind of disappeared right after the war was a little bit difficult because there was not much said about him after the war. History, trying to find any kind of relatives or anything was, it's hard to find. So just trying to do this job as best as possible and as true as possible was our responsibility. And as Dale, Captain Ty said, we better not mess it up. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Bob Musquin. I played Tippin. What it meant to me, I guess, was it was rammed home in February 2017 when it finally passed, and I had opportunity to think about that and consider the responsibility that I had. And I guess it's best summed up in that very few people can say what they did made a difference to everyone, to so many people, and he was one of them. And it was a great honour, probably the pinnacle of my career, certainly to date, and I hazard to guess for the rest of my life, to have portrayed him on screen. That's about it.
My name's George Khalil. I played Jim Alley, and I think my first reaction was just holy shit when I got the call. But it's really on three levels for me anyway. Band of Brothers was in no particular order. Was you're playing a real human being, and then you're perhaps portraying the last just war in history, where you really get to see when good people get together and say, right, enough is enough, what people can accomplish. And I have no idea what it's like. But then on a personal level, Captain Di actually has been through all these things, so we were with people who have been shot at and have been through the same shit, albeit in a different era. And it was a pretty amazing thing.
Hi there, I'm Ian Bailey. I played David Kenyon Webster. One is the first thing, unlike a couple of the guys who have mentioned that their characters kind of, there wasn't a lot left. I had the opposite. My fellow wrote a great book. That was a real gift for me. When I finished reading it, I thought to myself, well, that was well cast. I found the rest pretty easy, relatively speaking. And then over the years, I'm continually surprised by the response. From meeting, while walking down a street in Amsterdam, meeting a Polish man who thanked me immensely for our efforts. I'm going on a USO tour where I thought the soldiers would think we were the joke, the actors pretending to be soldiers. They wouldn't take us seriously at all. It was the opposite. They thought we were just doing a good service for them, and they really, really, really appreciated it. And meeting people like today, a guy I met who had seen the show said over 100 times. And I'm continually surprised. I think, my God, that's a lot of hours spent watching a television program. But I continually remind myself and am reminded by everyone else I come in contact with about this show that it is that special. It does warrant so many viewings by some people, and it is a special part of history, and this is an amazing day to be here all together, all of us, this week, doing this thing. And it's a great honor, this mentor of ours, what he did for us, these weeks in boot camp that you got primed with. That was a very, very important part of our growth as human beings. I'll take it that far. So thank you, and thanks to all of you for everything.
You've also heard enough from me, so I won't take up too much of your time. It's interesting that Ian should talk about something being well cast, because I never met Harry. Harry passed away before the series started. And one of the things that, and I'm sure you'll all have these stories too, I don't want to get too mystical about things, but there were just various parts of the puzzle that are coming to me even now. I remember meeting Babe Heffron on set and him saying, "You're doing a great job, it's Harry, you're just like him." I'm thinking, how? How did they figure this out? And the two words that had jumped out from the book to me were reluctant officer. He was a reluctant officer who was busted down to private for fighting a few times. And it may surprise you, I don't even think you guys know this, but this rapscallion was head boy in school. And I hated it. I hated being given the responsibility of being head boy. And these two words just kept reluctant officer, reluctant. I was like, wow, that's something else. And then you take into the fact, little ingredients like the fact that I knew Damien before. We got on, we were not good friends, but we were friends enough. That stuff happens by accident, doesn't it? Anyway, I seem to know somebody that I have never met more and more every year. Thank you.
Hi everyone, my name is Ben Kaplan and I played Walter Smokey Gordon in Band of Brothers. To go back to the original question and to kind of try and reflect what all of these guys have said already and to bring something new, but it absolutely was a real honour to be part of this show. A lot of it's been said already, but it's created a bond between me and a person I never got the chance to meet. I felt like I had a connection, even though Walter died in 1998, so I never got a chance to meet him, but I met his family. I have a very special bond with his family, and we still see each other, every so often, and when we do, it's a very special thing. A huge responsibility to portray him in this particular series, but to sort of feel like, as well as obviously to try and do his story justice, to try and just do, every veteran's story justice by trying to portray bravery and humanity, which I feel on such a deep level because I now have children and I feel the responsibility to be able to pass that story on to a new generation, which is what I think this TV series has actually done. It's the greatest history lesson I've ever had, and when I come to things like this and I meet real veterans, I feel like I have a sense of what they went through, and that respect will carry me through for the rest of my life. So coming here to this amazing event is very, very special. And the other thing is, I feel it was it wasn't really an acting task by any means. Going to boot camp and going through those experiences meant that by the time we actually got to shooting this amazing series, I didn't feel like I was an actor. I felt like I was just trying to do justice to a sense of what those guys were going through in those kind of situations. We just started shooting scenes, and we just fell into line, and we just got on with the job. So it's been an absolute honour to be part of it and to meet these amazing group of actors who will know each other for the rest of our lives, and will carry that bond through through the rest of our journeys together, which again is a very special thing. So as I say, it was an amazing thing to be part of, and I thank my lucky stars that I was in the show in the first place. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mark Lawrence. I played William Buddy Dukeman. He died on the 5th of October 1944 in Eindhoven, Holland. There is not a day that I don't think about him. I mean, probably not half a day that I don't think about him. I think about him every day. He's been such a huge part of my life, and this is a guy that I never met. I met my wife because of him. She was a fan of the series. We got in contact, got married. I now live in Colorado, which is where Buddy Dugan was from. He's with me every day. I think they all deserve to be immortal, and this show, luckily, helps them be immortal. I also want to say thank you to Dale Guy just for giving me the tools to do that. Tom Brokaw said they're a great generation, and he said the right thing. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Alex Brady. I played Francis James Bennett. Yeah, again, like Ben said, I think it's pretty much been covered for what everyone said. And like Mark, I never got to meet Frank, but he's a very special part of my life. We have some similarities with us, Irish and Italian, and same birthdays, which is good. And again, he's part of my life, always will be, made the ultimate sacrifice. We're just a very, very small part of something that is very, very big. We got a small glimpse of something that was so extraordinary that going through it, these guys wouldn't have understood, but they just got the job done. And we got a big glimpse of it, and Dale helped us get the job done. And it's really something that's going to stay with me for the rest of my life. And I'm truly, truly honoured to be here, be part of it, see you guys, and yeah, thank you.
Hi, I'm Christian Black. I played Walter Hendricks. These guys have basically said everything I wanted to say. I couldn't think of anything to say, to be honest. You've covered everything. The one thing I would say is that I became a still photographer. I don't know if you know this, but I became a still photographer in the movie industry because of working on this show. And I've been doing that for the last 20 years, or 19 years. And I owe all that to Dale for casting me as my part, basically. So, yeah, thank you.
Hello. My name's Peter McCabe. I played Donald Hoopla in the show. And obviously, you know, a lot of it's been said before. The words that come to me are privilege and honour in being able to take part in the show. For the simple reason that, you know, the reason it was originally conceived was that there was a sense that a generation of people who did something extraordinary were passing away from us. And this is the work that Tim Gray does so well, which is to ensure that instead of an event of such magnitude disappearing into history as a set of numbers or some dreary sense of books and not being based on humanity, the whole point of this show was to try and bring humanity to this extraordinary event, and to be part of that and to be given an opportunity to bring that to the fore is an extraordinary thing. And the one thing I've noticed most last year and this year is just the number of very young people that turn up and are just as curious and just as impressed by those stories and by what was achieved. So, you know, job done by those people, and it's been a pleasure to be involved in that. Thank you.
Hey, hello everyone, my name is Peter O'Mara. I play Lieutenant Dyke. First of all, thank you for turning out so often and being here and getting things signed. You come every year, and it's your dedication and love and passion for the story that reminds us how significant it is. When we finished the show, I carried it on I felt very isolated in how I felt about it, the importance and significance of it. And gradually, just magnetically, through a barbecue in LA, where we just began to all find each other again and realize we all feel the same. We all have a piece of this story. None of us are, no greater than some of the parts. We all are part of the tapestry. So I carry my piece of the puzzle, and all my beautiful colleagues here do. I'm so grateful to get to see them again. I'm really grateful to be part of it. Such a lovely, great bunch of people, and it will be with me for the rest of my life. There'll never be another show like it, no matter how good the job is or anything else like this. I mean, look where we are. Game of Thrones doesn't have this. So thank you so much, and God bless.
Hi everyone. I'm Nolan Hemmings. I played Sergeant Chuck Grant in Band Brothers. And just going back to what we were talking about character and how you come to take on something like that. Someone who's lived, someone who's fought in an extraordinary war event and who's died in that war. And some of us had more than others to go on. Some people we get a dossier and you have the information there about what is known about what he did in moments in that period of warfare between D-Day and Berchtesgaden, or much sooner. They died, in Normandy or in Holland. And with Chuck, there wasn't a whole lot there. There was a few times, a few incidents that had been written down by his fellow brothers or by his seer. But for me, it was like, I don't know much about this guy. I knew where he came from, to California, he liked to play dice. And I like to play poker. So, those things I sort of found some connection with for myself. But more importantly, over the period of doing boot camp and then the show, what I found was that it was because of my relationship with all the other cast members, my brothers, on set every day. And it wasn't really an acting job like Ben said, it was more of an endurance job. Because you don't need to act, you just need to be there and feel it and be a part of it. And your character, my character, it kind of came from my relationship with everybody else and how they related to me, whether they were my, because I was a staff sergeant by the end, but the relationship you have with everybody is sort of what defines who you are, how you feel in that relationship, in this company. And, and you are immersed every day you're on set. There's a lot going on. Buildings are coming down around, there are tanks, there are jeeps, and even the camera may be moving along. You're not even on the camera, but you are definitely still running around and things are going off around you, and you're in a war-like environment. And shells, bullets are flying down the back of your neck from the machine gun next to you or whatever. So you are immersed and you do lose yourself in that, and there is trepidation and fear. Although you're not going to die, it is an extreme environment. So I think for me that was the relationship I had with Chuck. I was just reliving in whatever way I could, not a war, but in this making the show, what happened with us as a company, as a band of brothers, what we had that experience together. And so I think that's why, for me, going through it all, it's extraordinary because I really felt as close as I could to what he must have. I felt like being like, and so that was a progression, and I was very honoured to go through that. And it's extraordinary to be here with everyone. I've known them all 19 years, and this is only a few of us, and there's a lot more out there that aren't here today. But we're all still as close as we were then, which is also something that is true of the veterans we see who come back every year. So thank you very much.
A couple of the guys couldn't join us this year. Damien is filming, and I just got an email from Scott Bryan.